I'm hitting record. All right, y'all, this is our take. This is Mark the moderator.
Leaf is only family, Brooklyn Feather.
Avery, the process. That's it. That's all we going with, Jay. That's it. Let's do it.
Oh, really? That's it?
We're doing that tonight. We on tonight.
All right, so we got a lot to talk about, y'all. Listen, everybody, there's a lot going on in sports right now. You got the NFL conversations to have. We have the NBA conversations to have, but we're going to jump with the NBA conversation first. Now that free agency is done, the draft is done. Fellas, where are you at on the free agency and draft from what you've seen so far? What do you think is the landscape of the NBA going forward, as far as teams getting better, teams getting worse, and teams that hasn't really done anything?
I think that I actually want to commend the Lakers. I think the Lakers did a great job in free agency. As far as the draft, I don't see any of these guys being generational talent. Not saying that they can't be, but I don't see it. This ain't like, a draft that you got D-Wade, Melo, LeBron coming out. Like, those drafts come around once every 10, every 15 years, right? So now you just got to hope that you got the right people around these kids that you drafted, and these kids want it just as much as they wanted it to make it to the NBA. Once they got here, they just, once they get there, they just don't settle. Like I said, I think the Lakers did a great job in free agency. The Knicks do what the Knicks do in free agency. Piss me and Mark the F off. Atlanta did a good little signing. Avery is happy we're getting rid of Al Horford. So some teams did right moves for, which their fans would say is good in free agency. To answer the other question, we talk about this all the time. Can teams build through the draft, or should they just do it through free agency? I'm going to stick with my point. I think teams can build through the draft. You just got to do it right. But it's easier to go through free agency if you're trying to build right away. Quick microwave, 45 seconds, get this thing hot. Let's go. Through the draft is really, you got to go buy the groceries, season it, and cook it. And really, it's like a Thanksgiving dinner. We don't got time for all that in today's society.
So just to piggyback on that. So my estimation, it's easier you can win in the draft. You can be successful at winning in the draft as far as the teams goes, as far as the team's success. But you ain't winning no championship through the draft. Let's call that. Like, that's a real long-term, in my opinion, it's a long-term thing. So, for example, Denver, they drafted well, but they're not winning a chip with the draft picks that they got. That's more of a long-term. We got to see how these guys really, really pan out, right? But that's with any draft, right? So I'm trying to touch on like this generational star. No, there's no generational star that came out of this draft. However, let's be fair. We didn't see all these guys play through March Madness, so we really don't know necessarily if there is. At the beginning of the season, if we're basing it on the sample size that we got, we're not saying like, Obi Toppin is like a transformational player for the Knicks. Not trying to throw any shots, but let's be real. I'm not saying LaMelo Ball is a transformational player. No, I'm not co-signing it. The mere fact that we had to guess who's going to be the number one pick and we weren't sure says a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, there wasn't a lock number one pick. But yes, I'm going to agree. The Lakers, like, they own the lion's share just because of the fact they got the best player on the planet right now. I think they made some good moves. I think the Nets quiet as kept made some good moves, getting Landry Shamet, another shooter.
Agreed.
I'm going to say that I think Charlotte is mind-boggling to me. I don't really understand, like, what you're doing with Gordon Hayward. Like, that's really lost. But I'm going to tell you, sleeper right now, to me, is the Hawks, man. Like, Yo,
I mentioned them. I think they did a good job.
First of all, shout to Lloyd Pierce, former defensive coach for Philly. They ran him out of town because of bum Brett Brown, but that's a whole nother conversation. But I think the Hawks got a little squad, man. I think they could be that, that team that comes from not making the playoffs to making the playoffs and bumping somebody out. So that's gonna be real interesting. Yeah, so like Orlando, for example, Leaf, you make your face. Well, Orlando's not going to make the playoffs because of what the Hawks did, so they'll bump that team out. That's what I'm talking about. But yeah,
that's what you meant. I thought you meant like win the first round.
Nah.
I thought that's
nah. Shout out to the Sixers for getting some real shooters. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the Sixers for doing that. I'm not so sold on the Dwight Howard signing, but it is what it is. I mean, I guess he's going to be.
Suns.
The Suns. Yo.
Shout out to the
They're
Suns.
teams that have done some things, but I want to say, don't be shocked if there's two out of the top 20 kids are going to be special. Don't be shocked. And I'm saying that because we really didn't get a chance to know. And that always happens every year.
I could agree with you on that one. I could agree with you. 2 out of the top 10. I definitely could agree with you on that.
Mark, I didn't give a high number. I said 2. That's not a
listen. I totally get you. Let me say, building through the draft to me in this day and age, because of what we see in the draft. Look at last year's draft. Outside of Zion and Ja, what else do you really have there? There's no
RJ Barrett.
There's no real
My
players.
son Cam Reddish is going to have a big year.
Mark just trying to keep the stuff going.
Almost like left the goddamn group.
Yo. Each year we keep saying it, man. You talking about a 3-year project, a 4-year project. If teams just like Leaf said, if you're trying to build through the draft, and Avery, you said it, Denver gotten better, but that's not getting them a chip. Teams that are making trades that are trying to do the impact trades. The Raptors made a trade last year that brought them a chip. That's what it comes down to.
No, but see, no.
Go ahead.
But when we say build through the draft, right? I mean, build the foundation of your squad that can get you to the playoffs, maybe the second round, and then you say, all right, like Golden. Well, I am going to use Golden State, like Golden State did, right? It's like, all right, now we need this player that we know could take us over the hump, right?
But Golden State only hump was one player. That's really what it was. The Golden State was a top team. They had 73 wins without KD.
And they built through the draft.
No, but that's the outlier. That's not the norm, because look at certain teams.
But hold on. Denver's building through the draft. Denver just made it to the playoffs. What, the last 3 years? Second round. They're one. We could all sit here and say Denver's one player away, which could possibly be a good free agent that can get them over the top.
But they're not getting that player. Okay, look at look at the other side. Look at Sacramento. Sacramento has been building through the draft. What has it gotten?
Sacramento has gotten a good point guard and a good center.
Leaf again. You can look at teams. Look at the Magic. They have been building through the draft. What has it gotten? Again, you can get players from the draft. It's a long-term goal, but at the end of the day, the impact of winning is a lot further away for you.
Okay, but look at what the draft could do. Look, I'm going to use the Nets for example. The Nets built through the draft and then became an attractive site.
Right.
So you can do that too. Like you can.
But the Nets has New York.
Time out.
The Nets has.
I gotta make sure I got this right. The Nets built through the draft and became an attractive place to play.
Yeah. Remember, the Nets built a squad without any first round picks. Karis LeVert was a second round pick. Dinwiddie was a free agent. He didn't even get drafted, and they picked him up right after the draft. And then they went and they got D'Lo, right? Made the playoffs, but the core of their squad was draft picks, bro. There was no free agents or known free agents.
But now, just like right now, Lee, if bringing in Kyrie and bringing in KD doesn't work, where do you go?
then that just proves that the free agent part don't work either.
No,
I think
no,
it's 50-50.
no. Once because again, you can see more teams that has been drafting every single year that hasn't excelled through the draft. Now you might have picked up the wrong two players because I think they was doing better with the way they was building prior to this trade. We don't know if it's going to work out for them, but most teams.
Yeah, you just saying that because you thought they was coming to the Knicks. But go ahead, there's a little hate in there. I heard it.
Most teams that are building through the draft is not getting better as far as being able to get closer to a chip. That's most teams, not all teams.
But let me ask you this.
Most teams who go through free agency don't win a chip unless the free agent is LeBron James.
Right. So historically, nobody has come in an NBA draft, right, and has taken a team far, so to speak, outside of the Magics and the Birds, right? How even Mike in his rookie season didn't take Chicago to a first round win, right? So historically, what you're saying, Mark, is accurate. Like there's nothing that shows that. This is not like football. Even in football, we can argue that nobody, Dan Marino with the exception, right? There hasn't really been a guy, even LeBron. Cavs were not good his first year.
7 years.
We knew what he was going to be. So the draft has never been a place to, hey, I drafted this guy and it's going to be this immediacy.
Look at the Pelicans.
No,
you know what I mean?
No, it was not. No one expects that, but it takes time. Like I said, it's a slow cook.
Right.
But I think the slow cook works.
But when has a slow cook worked? Okay, so once again, you look at the last five championships. None of the slow cookers made it to the championship. None of the slow cookers.
None of the slow.
What are you talking about? Golden State.
Golden State is the outlier. That's not the blueprint.
How can you say that's not the blueprint? They did it. When a team does it, that becomes the blueprint, bro. You either gonna get LeBron or you gonna build through the draft. It's one of the two.
Because normally you don't find players that get drafted to the same team that plays that well the way Golden State has.
Oh, so
you
that's
really
because
haven't seen that.
That's because dudes miss in the draft. Like you got to know what you want. You have to.
But there's more misses than it is hits.
Let's give Mark Jackson a big shout out because
without
Mark Jackson knew exactly what he wanted to cook. You feel what I'm saying? So I think a lot of dudes, and we speak about this all the time, dudes go with the hype in the draft, right? Who's going to sell me the most tickets or whatever, the biggest name, instead of going for that player that you really need to help your team. This is what we need you to do, and we're going to bring you in here for this. Like, we don't see that a lot now in any sport.
No, that's you.
We discussed in the NFL that, quarterbacks shouldn't go first most of the time, but they still go first.
But see, my thing is because of the talent pool coming in the draft, to me, is where you can't build in the draft no more. Because just like Avery said, you don't have that dominant player in the draft anymore. So now people keep on talking about a deep draft and it's this and it's that. And I'm like, the draft is average. Most of these dudes are going to be bench players. Most of these dudes is not high impact players.
But again, I'm gonna be fair. I'm trying to be fair to them.
Shout out to the Miami Heat.
I'm trying to be.
Right. Another one.
I'm trying to be fair as saying we haven't really seen all of these guys at their apex. So I'm trying to be fair by not going that far that quick. Obi Toppin may be a starter. Like on the Knicks, he may be a starter. He may have some impact on the Knicks. But I'm not saying he won't. You know what I'm saying?
But that's not the point. I'm not focusing on this year's draft. Just in the past 3 years, if we look at the draft, outside of the top 3 players that was drafted, you really don't have impact, game-changing players being drafted. Not like you used to. You used to have drafts that really had talent that was getting on teams and they was changing the team's fortune around. We don't have that no more. Think about
it. All right, so Mark,
what's the last deep draft we had? Think about it. What's the last
really deep draft? Right.
Yeah. What's the
I'm
last deep draft we had?
Man, I'm going to say about 7 years ago.
It's been a while.
Maybe 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
I can agree with that too.
But lately, you haven't had the depth of talent in these drafts because most of these guys are going to the G League or bench players.
Here's the problem, and I think because they're looking for the right now, right? We know some of these players need 3 years, right? They're not staying in college for 2-3 years and getting that experience. They're jumping out. Hold on, Mark. I'm gonna give.
No. Hold that. We're gonna come right back, and
Okay.
let's expound on that conversation because now you're going into another conversation that I think that we should have. So listen, y'all. This is our take. We'll be right back. We will expound on this conversation going forward.
Expound.
Yes.
Expound.
I was playing Words with Friends today.
Oh wow.